Welcome back to our next chapter of As the Rabbit Descends Down the Hole. Really, I should say it's more than a chapter. Our next story, our next storyline of what we're going to address. We're going to look at Moses. But before I get into it, we're not going to take the standard line. So just, this could be more interesting, possibly. I mean, anybody that around Easter time watches the Ten Commandments or whatever the case may be, they kind of know the storyline. Anybody that's in church kind of knows the storyline. So we're going to go a different route with this, and the route we're going to take is we're going to look at the practical lessons that we can learn today from Moses then. The things with the law and things like that, but also in the way he conducts himself, his leadership and things, because I think that might be a little different angle, number one, and number two, may give you something a little bit more than just the standard storyline, that you get all the time. So, let's get into this. I think you're going to like this. So, one thing that we have to take note of with Moses, yes, he was the leader and things of this nature, but you have to understand, it took him a long time to get to this point. See, he was raised as an Egyptian, right? He knew Egyptian customs, he knew their language, he knew their ways of doing things, he knew how the priests were, he knew how they dictated and they governed and things like that. So, when it came to those things, he had to basically relearn everything. When he took off, right? He got and he went into the land there, and he disappeared. He disappeared for 15 years. So 15 years he stayed with his family, and he gets married and things of this nature. And he has to learn not only his roots, he has to learn the language. He has to learn, he had to learn shepherding, because it was an agricultural family that he moved in with. And, he had to learn a completely different lifestyle. Completely different. I mean, think about it. He went from Pharaoh's son to, basically the complete opposite, and that is a lot in itself for anybody. So he had to learn about God, the God of the Hebrews. This God, he probably heard about it, but he didn't know who this God was, by any stretch. So he had to learn the worship aspect. He also had to learn how to communicate with these people, as I said. But he also has to know some things. If he is going to get them out of bondage, that's a lot. Think about it. You have to figure out a governing system. You have to figure out how to settle disputes. You have to figure out how to organize up. You got to figure out how to feed these people. I mean, there's a lot that's put on now. Granted, yes, God directs them and guides them and all these things. But Moses had to learn things as well, how to go about doing this. This is a major undertaking. I don't think everybody really realizes the major undertaking. I think they think, oh, there was some miracles and this and that, and then boom, they're out, yippee-yi-yay, going forward. I mean, hey, let's go out, and they're going to give them silver and gold. Well, silver and gold is not going to do anything, because who are you going to trade it with to get food? They're in the wilderness for 40 years. I mean, there's a lesson to be learned there. You can have all the, wealth you want from the Egyptians that didn't do them anything. So it's a leadership through immersion of learning how to do this. This wasn't just some empathy ploy. He had to understand the system of governance. And you know, his father-in-law actually taught him quite a bit about this. So it's quite interesting, you know. But that that very concept of functional leadership, you know. Um, so these were foundational years, you know, for Moses. These were things that he needed to learn and to do and to be able to, because he knew, I mean, he believed God, and he believed that God was going to help him with all this and translate a divine law into a human system. I mean, he kind of knew that to an extent, I think, possibly. I don't believe he went into this blinded, you know. And to put this into like a practical framework, you know. But God does guide him with that when he gets to that point. You know, when he gets to that point, because it's not just necessarily the Ten Commandments per se. There's 613 laws that are given. The Ten Commandments are just kind of like the base of it, and the 613 they fill in all the gray areas of how this all comes together. You know, I mean, we'll get to that later on, but you know, it's you could use this as a parallel to an extent. I mean, would you rather have someone that is standing for you and is willing to understand your plight to lead you? And this is where Moses had to be. I mean, these people had to trust him, you know. Look at the politicians today. I mean, there's a handful that, you know, you may trust to a degree, but, you know, we know that they want things for themselves. I mean, and we're getting off track here. Well, what I'm saying, he had to learn sociology, basically. But once he did, watch out. So that's these foundational years, these learning of this foundational community, and I think it's really important to start with that base before we go any farther with Moses. Those 15 years were critical to him having success later on. Learning who God was. Amazing. Absolutely amazing thing. Learning who he was and how he could be the leader of these people and build from slavery to a community that operates in a functional, practical, and prosperity manner. You know, absolutely amazing. So this is going to be a great thing, great series. Stay tuned as we go through all this, and I'm hoping you're enjoying everything that we have gone through so far. Anyway, stay tuned. All right, I'll see you soon.